We are going to find out why you have to die. Close your eyes for a second. Try to imagine the year 2150. Flying cars? Maybe. Mars colonies? Probably. But there is one specific detail you are struggling to visualize. A world without you. It is the ultimate paradox of the human brain. We are designed to survive, yet we are the only species that knows we will fail. We treat death like a distant rumor, like something that happens to other people. But nature has a sniper rifle pointed at your chest from the moment you take your first breath. Why? If the universe is so perfect, why did it design its most intelligent creation with a built-in expiration date? Today, we are going to look at the blueprint. And we are going to find out why you have to die. We like to think we die because we wear out, like an old car that eventually breaks down. But biologists know the scary truth. You don't just wear out, you are programmed to shut down. It's called planned obsolescence. Apple does it with iPhones. Nature does it with you. Inside your cells, there are things called telomeres. Think of them like the plastic tips on your shoelaces. Every time your cells divide to keep you alive, those tips get shorter. Eventually, the plastic tip falls off, the shoelace frays, the cell stops dividing, and you enter the zombie zone. Your body literally has a kill switch. The question is, who pushes the button? Here is the cruelest joke nature ever told. Take a deep breath. Feel that? That is oxygen filling your lungs. It keeps you alive, but chemically, oxygen is a corrosive gas. It's the same element that makes iron rust and fire burn. When your cells use oxygen to create energy, they produce toxic waste products called free radicals. These radicals slowly damage your DNA, your proteins, and your cell walls. It is called oxidative stress. Basically, you are rusting from the inside out. The very thing that gives you life is also the thing that is slowly killing you. Every breath buys you time, but it also brings you one step closer to the end. You are burning alive, just very slowly. Here is where it gets frustrating. Death is not scientifically inevitable. Meet the Hydra, a tiny freshwater animal that essentially never dies. It doesn't age. If you cut it in half, it grows back. It is biologically immortal. So, nature can create immortality. It has the technology. It just chose not to give it to you. Why? Because the Hydra is stupid. It creates no art, no civilization, no technology. It just exists. Nature made a trade-off with humans. I will give you a complex brain, passion, and consciousness. But the price tag is death. Complexity requires mortality. You are too expensive to keep alive forever. Actually, some of your cells do try to become immortal. They refuse to die. They keep dividing, ignoring the chemical signals to stop. Do you know what we call those cells? Cancer. Cancer is literally your cells trying to achieve immortality. And what happens? That immortality kills the host. This is the brutal irony of biology. To keep the organism, you, alive, the individual cells must accept death. If parts of you don't die, all of you dies. Structure requires limits. Life requires boundaries. Without death, there is only chaos. Let's look at this from an evolutionary perspective. Imagine if nobody ever died. Your great-great-great-grandfather would still be the CEO of the company. The political ideas of 1600 would still rule the government. Innovation would freeze. Death is nature's way of clearing the cache. It's a software update. For the human species to adapt, the old version, you, must be deleted to make room for version 2.0, your children. We die so that humanity can live. You are not the player. You are the controller. Once your turn is over, you have to pass the controller to the next person. If you didn't, the game would never advance. You think you are the same person you were 10 years ago? Think again. Biologically, your body replaces almost all its atoms every 7 to 10 years. Your skin, your blood, even your bones. They are completely new. The you, looking at this screen right now, is a copy of a copy of a copy. This is the ancient paradox of the ship of Theseus. If you replace every plank of a ship, is it still the same ship? If every atom in your body has changed, are you still you? Or have you already died multiple times without realizing it? Maybe death isn't a singular event at the end of life. Maybe death is a constant process happening right now. The person who started watching this video is technically not the same person finishing it. Because we know we are going to be deleted, we panic. Psychologists call this terror management theory. Almost everything we do, building skyscrapers, writing books, having children, making YouTube videos, is a reaction to death. We are trying to build immortality projects. We want to leave a scratch on the wall of the universe that says, I was here. If humans lived forever, we would be incredibly lazy. Why write the book today if you have a billion years? Death creates urgency. Death creates ambition. Civilization is just a side effect of our fear of dying. Now, in the 21st century, we are trying to cheat the system. Tech billionaires are investing in mind uploading. They want to copy your brain onto a hard drive. They promise you a digital afterlife. But here is the glitch. If I copy a file on my computer, I have two files. If I copy your brain to a computer, you still die. The computer is just a copy that thinks it's you. We are so desperate to avoid the end that we are willing to create digital ghosts of ourselves.
It's almost time.
But deep down, we know technology can't save us from entropy. Imagine a world where diamonds were as common as rocks. They would be worthless. Value comes from scarcity. Life is valuable only because it is scarce. If you lived forever, moments would lose their meaning. Why cherish a sunset if you can see a trillion more? Why hug your mother tight if she is never going to leave? The sadness of death is the price we pay for the beauty of life. You cannot have one without the other. We die so that the time we do have matters. The problem isn't death. The problem is the ego. The ego thinks it is the main character of the movie. It thinks the universe revolves around its story. So the end of the ego feels like the end of the universe. But biologically, you are not a separate entity. You are a wave in the ocean. The wave rises, it crashes, and it returns to the ocean. The wave dies, but the water remains. When you die, the atoms that make you up, atoms that were forged in stars billions of years ago, don't disappear. They just change form. You don't end. You just stop being you. Why are we so afraid of the lights going out forever when we voluntarily turn them off every single night? Think about deep sleep, dreamless sleep. Where do you go? Time passes, but you don't feel it. The world spins, but you aren't part of it. You simply cease to exist for 8 hours. And yet, nobody goes to bed shaking with fear. We love sleep. We crave it. Alan Wyatt called death waking up from the dream of life. But maybe life is the dream. And death is just the heavy, dreamless sleep you are already addicted to. You have practiced being dead every night of your life. The only difference is the alarm clock. Seneca once said, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it." We live as if we have endless time. We hold grudges. We work jobs we hate. We wait for someday. So here is your uncomfortable challenge for today. Take a piece of paper. Write down today's date. Now, estimate the year you will die based on statistics. Let's say 2080. Write that date down. Look at the space between those two numbers. That is all you have. Everything you will ever love, see, taste, and do must fit in that gap. Stop trying to live forever. Start trying to live now. Because the clock isn't ticking to scare you. It's ticking to wake you up. Today we talked about biological death, the inevitable end. But let's be honest, many of you are biologically alive, but spiritually, you have already entered the zombie zone. You sleep for 8 hours, yet you wake up exhausted. You drink liters of coffee, but the brain fog doesn't clear. You aren't afraid of dying, you are afraid of feeling dead while you are still breathing. In the next video, I will prove to you why sleep is not fixing your fatigue. If you are done existing as a ghost in your own life and want to find out what is draining your spirit, turn on your notifications. It's time to wake up. See ya!